When looking at measuring food loss and waste, three questions need to be answered. Why, what, and how? The reason why someone is measuring food loss and waste drives what they include in their measurement. The what then drives how it's quantified, or what methods are used for the measurement. In this video, we'll go over how you can use the standard to describe the scope of what you are quantifying. In other words, your FLW inventory. This slide shows a simplified figure of what may be considered food loss and waste. First, we look at all plants, fungi, and animals grown, raised, or harvested for human consumption. You can then split that into two categories. A portion of this is food, or substances, whether processed, semi-processed, or raw, that are intended for human consumption. The other portion is the associated inedible parts of food, which are not intended for people to typically eat. This might include things like bones, rinds, and pits. We call these the material types in the FLW standard. If food and inedible parts are not consumed by people, you'll see these are the green and red arrows in the figure, then this material is considered to have left the human food supply chain and may go to one of 10 destinations you see listed in the shaded box. The 10 destinations listed here include all the possible places where material could go when it's no longer being fed to people. The possible destinations are listed in alphabetical order, from animal feed to sewer/wastewater treatment. In another video, we'll go into more detail about these destinations. So the yellow or orange box contains all the possible components of what might be considered food loss and waste. That means it's up to the user of the standard to select which material types and which of the 10 destinations they want to use in their particular quantification, depending on the reasons they're measuring food loss and waste in the first place. It's important to note that if food is still going to feed people, whether through donations or other secondary markets, it is not considered food loss and waste. But we do provide guidance on quantifying the weight of food rescued, as this is an important strategy for preventing food waste. I've been talking about two of the key parts of describing what is included in your inventory. In other words, the material types and the destinations. There are a few other parts related to selecting and describing the scope of your inventory, however. The first is the time frame, which is the period of time for which the inventory results are being reported. It's usually over a 1-year period, but it could be shorter or longer. Next, as I've already discussed, are the material types, the materials that are included in the inventory, whether that be food only, both food and its associated inedible parts, or just inedible parts. The third column is the other aspect I've already mentioned, the destinations, where the material goes once it's been removed from the food supply chain. To describe your inventory, you would pick and check off the destinations that you've included in your particular scope. The next column is what we refer to as the boundary. There are 4 parts to the boundary, as you can see here. The first is the food category. This is the types of food that are being included in the FLW being reported. For example, all food and beverages, or maybe just one type, like just chicken. The second is the life cycle stage. This refers to the stages in the food supply chain within which the reported FLW occurs. This may be, for example, all economic sectors within a country, or for a retailer, just its own stores and distribution centers. The third is geography, which is self-explanatory. It's the geographic borders within which the reported FLW occurs. And last is organization, which gives context about the organizational unit in which the FLW is occurring. For example, if an inventory for a city includes data about either 1,000 or 10,000 households. So for example, a boundary for a given inventory might be to report on all tomatoes, the food category, being lost or wasted at the retail level, the life cycle stage, in Brazil, the geography, for 1,000 supermarkets, which would be the organizational unit. And finally, there are what we refer to as related issues that apply only to some users of the standard. You can learn more by reading Chapter 6 in the standard to see if those apply to your situation. If you're ready to learn more, visit our website at flwprotocol.org. We recommend starting with the executive summary, which can be found on the homepage in English, Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, and Spanish. This short document summarizes important features, including the rationale behind the standard, steps for implementing it, and key definitions and requirements. On our website, you can also find the full FLW standard, case studies from companies who are using the standard, answers to your frequently asked questions, and a variety of other resources to assist you as you start to conduct your own inventory. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at flwprotocol@wri.org.